Is the 2020 Razer Blade Stealth with the GTX 1650 Ti Max Q the best ultralight gaming laptop ever? It's Dan from Dan's Best Tech. Go to this timestamp to see the gaming results only, but for everyone else, stay tuned for the full review. To me, it might be a little less powerful than the Asus Zephyrus G14, but its size and weight are still best in class, making this laptop great. And if you ask my wife, she actually chose the Razer Blade Stealth over the G14. Stay tuned for more. Razer is currently selling the really well-equipped 2020 Razer Blade Stealth with the GTX 1650 Ti Max Q at Amazon for only $1,600. That's $200 less than its original launch price, but I was able to pick up an open box version in excellent condition from Best Buy for only $1,440, $10 cheaper than the Zephyrus G14. Additionally, you get a 25-watt variant of the Core i7-1065G7 CPU, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 120 Hz Full HD display, and a 512GB SSD. And Razer crammed all of that into a 13-inch Ultrabook that weighs in at 3.1 pounds. Although 0.3 of a pound heavier than the 2.8-pound MSI Prestige 14, the 2020 Razer Blade Stealth provides superior CPU and GPU performance with the appropriate dual-fan cooling to prevent thermal throttling. Additionally, although the laptop's CPU and GPU performance aren't as powerful as the 3.5-pound Asus Zephyrus G14, the 2020 Blade Stealth feels more premium with its black anodized aluminum unibody chassis. Because of this, the Blade Stealth is one of the best ultralight but also powerful laptops for students and professionals who want to take their laptop anywhere and everywhere, but also want graphical power for photo and video editing, CAD work, or important things like gaming. Are there any cons to this build quality? Some might say that the black anodization layer could get easily scratched or chipped away. Others might say that fingerprints show up very easily. But I just say, get a skin for your laptop if you care that much about aesthetics. Moving to the keyboard, it's superb. It feels better than any other Windows laptop or even MacBook keyboard. The key travel is great, the activation force feels very firm, and I can type on this thing very quietly when I'm in a meeting or in class. Additionally, the backlighting of varying colors on the keys gets very bright. Plus, Razer finally fixed the right shift key. Instead of an arrow key separating the shift and question mark button, we can finally type questions on the Razer Blade Stealth without having to relearn how to type. And finally, although the function keys aren't reversed by default, I was easily able to switch this in the Razer Synapse app. As far as upgradeability, sadly the RAM is soldered on and fixed at 16 gigabytes. But the 512 gigabytes of SSD storage is upgradable, something I will be doing in a follow-up video, so subscribe if you want to be notified. Oh, and you can switch out the Wi-Fi card for all you naughty Hackintoshes out there. So now let's talk about the immersive audio. The 4 upward-facing speakers sound pretty good to me. They sound clear even at high volumes. Additionally, you can use the headphone jack with external speakers or headphones for better sound quality. Headphones also have the benefit of drowning out fan noise when gaming. Moving to the Precision Trackpad, I think I finally found a trackpad that rivals the Apple trackpads. The Precision Glass trackpad is very sensitive and accurate. There exists no delay between when I move my finger and when the cursor registers the movement. The customizable Windows gestures are very easy to use as well. I love this trackpad, which is something I haven't been able to say about a Windows trackpad, I think, ever. Now let's talk about the display. Just like with the Zephyrus G14, the 120Hz Full HD display is pretty good and is what I prefer in a laptop of this size. You can definitely feel a better gaming experience on a 120Hz display over a 60Hz display. It's so much smoother, and in my opinion, upgrading to a 4K 60Hz touchscreen will not improve the picture quality on a 13-inch display unless you hold the screen an inch away from your face. Some might say that there exists some ghosting, but I don't see any. And in the bezel-less age we live in, the bezels around the screen aren't that large either. Since they aren't made of glass like other laptops, you don't have to worry about fingerprint smudges all along the side of the screen. And at the top of the display exists a 720p webcam with Windows Hello, something missing on the Zephyrus G14. Although slim and light, the Razer Blade Stealth has a good selection of ports. On the left side, it includes a USB 3.1 Type-A port and Thunderbolt 3 port. On the right side, it includes another USB 3.1 Type A port and a USB-C 3.1 Gen 2 port, non-Thunderbolt 3. And finally, there exists a 3.5mm headphone jack and microphone combo port. I love that this thing includes legacy ports like USB Type A, something missing on the current generation of MacBooks, as well as full-speed Thunderbolt 3 port, something that's missing on the Zephyrus G14. If I were to complain about anything, it would be the lack of an SD card slot, but this laptop was built for gamers, not YouTubers. Besides, it does have Wi-Fi 6, which is another upgrade over last year's model. And that leads us to the CPU and GPU. Does Razer have a super powerful 7nm Ryzen CPU inside of the Razer Blade Stealth? No. No laptop with Thunderbolt 3 currently has a Ryzen CPU. What Razer did do is upgrade the 10th generation Intel Ice Lake Core i7 1065G7 from the 15-watt variant to the 25-watt variant. Therefore, the Geekbench 5 multi-core score improved from 3200 from last year's Razer Blade Stealth to 4400. That's over a 30% increase in processing performance. As for the GPU, Razer upgraded last year's GTX 1650 Max-Q to the GTX 1650 Ti Max-Q. As a result, the OpenCL graphical performance improved from 37,000 to 40,000 in Geekbench 5. So with maxed out settings, Grand Theft Auto 5 benchmarked with an average of 35 FPS. Doom got around 100 FPS, Witcher 3 averaged around 30 FPS, and CSGO ran around 130 FPS. As a result, the 2020 Razer Blade Stealth can play almost any game at 1080p max settings, and scaling back the settings will obviously improve the FPS and fix stutter. And just like last year, the dual fan cooling solution in this laptop is top notch, so it does not thermal throttle when gaming. Running Unigine Heaven for 30 minutes with the settings at Ultra didn't show any thermal throttling. During the stress test, the internal temperature never climbed above 66 degrees C, and nothing downclocked to reduce thermals. The fans do kick in when gaming, but they aren't loud or annoying in my opinion. They're just fans, not jet engines. The keyboard and bottom cover do heat up to 51 degrees C. It gets warm, some would say even hot, but it won't burn you. Therefore, I can play on this laptop resting on my lap just fine. So with all this power, the battery life on this gaming laptop must suck, right? Well, not necessarily. I was able to get 7.5 hours out of this laptop doing basic web browsing, YouTube playback, and script writing. That's typical for an Ultrabook and amazing for a gaming laptop. So do I recommend the 2020 Razer Blade Stealth? In my last video on the topic, I recommended sticking with the 2019 Razer Blade Stealth to save some money. The performance upgrades in this laptop just weren't as much of an improvement as I'd hoped, so although you could still do that and buy the 2019 Razer Blade Stealth, I don't recommend it anymore. I love the 2020 Razer Blade Stealth. Its screen, keyboard, and especially the trackpad are top of the line, especially for a Windows laptop. My wife loves it as well. The black anodized aluminum unibody chassis around the laptop that weighs in at only 3.1 pounds has her smitten. Yes, the Zephyrus G14 is technically more powerful. How much more powerful is its processing performance? Almost double. What about its graphical performance? Again, it's almost twice as powerful. But the Zephyrus G14 weighs almost half a pound more, doesn't feel as premium, and forces you to give up Thunderbolt 3 and a webcam with Face ID sign-in. Now, if you compare the 2020 Razer Blade Stealth to Apple's 2020 13-inch MacBook Pro, I'm happy to say that the Razer Blade Stealth is definitely a MacBook Pro killer. For the past 10 years, Apple has made MacBooks with super high-quality unibody chassis, super fast ports, and top-of-the-line trackpads. Well, now the Razer Blade Stealth has all of those things. The industrial design and ergonomics of this laptop are top of the line. The size and weight are superb, the keyboard and typing experience are great. It has more of a variety of ports like USB 3.1 Type A and Thunderbolt 3. Even the trackpad rivals the MacBooks. I'm serious, you have to try out the Razer Blade Stealth's trackpad. It feels perfect. And the Stealth's GPU performance is almost twice as powerful as the base 16-inch MacBook Pro and around 5 times as powerful as the 13-inch MacBook Pro. And the base 16-inch MacBook Pro weighs over a pound more and costs $500 more as well. And if you're a gamer, there exists so many more games available in Windows. Last year, Apple dropped support for legacy 32-bit apps and games, and who knows what will be dropped next year with Apple's ARM processors. And finally, if Final Cut Pro is keeping you on a MacBook Pro like me, maybe a quick look at DaVinci Resolve will also convince you to make the jump. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see a video on me switching from Final Cut Pro to DaVinci Resolve. In conclusion, Is the 2020 Razer Blade Stealth with the GTX 1650 Ti Max-Q a good buy? Is it the most powerful laptop with a Ryzen CPU and RTX GPU? No, but it was never trying to be. If you want one of the best performing gaming laptops in a small and light premium aluminum chassis, one that comes with 16 gigabytes of RAM, one that has upgradable SSD storage, one with slim bezels around a 120Hz display that includes a webcam, one that comes with Thunderbolt 3 as well as USB 3.1, one with great sounding speakers, one with a great battery life, one with the best feeling keyboard and trackpad I've ever used, especially on a Windows laptop, one with around 5 times the graphical performance over any 13-inch MacBook Pro, and one that can game at max settings without thermal throttling. And the 2020 Razer Blade Stealth is for you. Just remember, it only has 512 gigabytes of SSD storage out of the box. It doesn't include a Ryzen CPU yet, and it's more expensive than the Zephyrus G14. What do you think? Would you spend $1,600 on the 2020 Razer Blade Stealth? And let me know in the comments what you'd like to see me test next. And finally, hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps the channel out, and I'll catch you in the next one.